Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we're doing 1979, The Wanderers. Before we get started, if you want to follow the show, you can follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Kiss the Reviews. Let's get into the cast of 1979's The Wanderers. This film stars Ken Wahl as Richie, Karen Allen as Nina, Tony Ganios as Perry, and John Friedrich as Joey. I'll say this, and we talked a little bit about the music from this era and the soundtrack. Although these songs were like rock and roll, and these are like dirty songs, and like nowadays you hear those songs and they just sound corny. Like if you're above a certain age, you're like, yeah, the Wanderer. That's what I do. I wander around and I do the things. Like the same thing, like every time I see a movie depicting this era, I'm like, people were so corny back then. Like, not only were you a gang, but you also had to like have talent and be part of a doo-wop group. Like,
Explains explains why I never got asked to be in a gang. Can't carry a tune to save my ass.
Yeah,
But
it's just
no, dude, this music's so bad. And this, like, my father used to tell me because he'll like some of this music. He was from this era, right?
yeah.
And so like that comes on, he'll be like, "Yeah, like I used to really be into this until I heard black people's music for the first time." And it was done.
Yeah.
You know what I like? That's what I don't understand. Like, we're the Wonders. Cool. We went, and then we're gonna go play all the black guys in this football game, and they come in to shout, right?
Yeah.
Stand up and shout. And then I'm like, I'm still gonna go back and listen to fucking Bobby Darin. That's it's just not happening,
And
Daddy
then
O.
afterwards, we're gonna go in the back room. We're gonna listen to fucking Captain and Tennille, and we're gonna fucking rock out with our cocks out, um, or the cock rock or whatever the fuck they say in this movie. But so this movie opens with Richie, the leader of the Wanderers, and he's basically trying to persuade his girlfriend to go all the way. And I th this is always these scenes like this kind of make me giggle from time to time, especially the dialogue between
Mm-hmm.
the boyfriend and the girlfriend. Like this whole scene, it literally opens. It's like here's some opening credits, and then bang right into like I don't know. There's like a World War II newscast going on, and
Right.
he's like I'm not gonna come in you. I'm not gonna come in you. And I'm like, first of all, he's lying.
Well, this is literally the first movie from this era I've heard in a scene like this I've seen. Where it's like, no, you don't got no reputation, Richie. I'm a goyle. I've got to protect my reputation. And he's like, I'm not gonna come in, you slut. What the fuck? Where did that come from?
It's Italian romance.
The 60s. You didn't say come in the 60s. I'm gonna fucking jit in your hair. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You don't fucking talk like that back then.
You know what I'm doing around here? I'm Spider-Man in every fucking thing in this fucking city. That's what I'm doing.
You know how long it's been since I've skied in Delphi? Let me get this out, huh? Get what out? I'm just a virgin in high school. I want to get this fucking cum out. Like, what the
Hey,
fuck?
hey,
Where did that come from?
let me let the poison out, okay? Oh my God. This whole thing was just the dialogue made me piss my pants. And
Hey,
then
Delphi, knock, knock. There, clam chowder.
2 hours later. Eventually.
Whew.
Oh shit.
All right. So we then cut to Joey, a member of the Wanderers. He's trying to persuade his friend Turkey, who just shaved his head, not to join the Baldies. And he calls the Baldies dicks with ears. And then they get chased by the Baldy crew, including Terror and Pee-wee. And Joey signals the Wanderers for help. They all basically get chased into this like alleyway. And we get Perry showing up, telling the Baldies to leave the kid alone.
Leave the kid alone.
I thought for a minute, like, okay, the first 10 minutes of this movie, I was like, this is not going to be good. And I ended up being pleasantly surprised as the movie went along. But this piece, I was like, is this going to be all of Perry's dialogue? Because it's literally all he says for the first like 2 minutes that we see him.
Yeah, no, it's pretty rough. I'm like, uh-oh, here comes garbage day. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit, here we go. And then I had this epiphany where I was like, oh, Armando must be like so happy rewatching this movie because it's like Armando's Joey. It's like, hey, you fucking pricks, what is? And then Armando's brother walked out of the tenement building that I just imagine you immigrants all had to live in back in the day. And he walks out of this tenement building and he's like, hey, leave the kid alone. And he just wholesale beat the shit out of white people, bald white people that look like me.
Yes. Well, I'll say this. You're
like, hey, brother, you want to join my gang?
You're not too far off. When I was younger, I was basically Joey. I was like, hey, I fucked your mother. And then I would run away, and my cousin Phil would show up and be like, hey, don't you see how fucking little he is? Leave the fucking kid alone. And then he would wholesale whoop everybody's ass. And I was like, yeah, don't come back here again. Like, that's how the shit went down.
Is it possible this story is true? Yes, it is.
See, I grew up in Arizona and the rest of my family group was in Ohio. So I'd be like, hey, go fuck your mother. And then I'd run home and then I'd be like, shit, mom and dad are at work because, you know, they work for a living. And then I got the shit wholesale kicked out of me. So just a little bit different in our childhoods.
After Perry beats the shit out of everybody, we then get Joey and Perry meeting at their apartment building. And apparently they're neighbors. And Joey tries to convince him to join the Wanderers. And then we cut to the school day, the high school day. They're all in high school. Joey shows Perry, you know, all the other local gangs. And then we get the history teacher trying to incite a race riot to teach brotherhood, while Perry just like sits back in the cut the whole time. Like Perry's like the quiet, strong one. And Perry's just like, he's chewing on his matchstick and he's like, these motherfuckers is crazy.
It's his first day at this new school.
And there's a fucking wholesale race riot. And he's like, the teacher's like, all right, now let's, the theme of today is brotherhood. And who wrote this? And it's Abe Lincoln. Abe Lincoln wrote this. And this is how we're going to teach brotherhood to everybody. Think of every derogatory word you could come up with for Jewish people, Italians, black. Let's just go ahead and just put it all out on the table. And then literally a race riot fucking breaks out in his classroom. And it was like, we're trying to fucking teach you about brotherhood. And it's like, yo, what the fuck is going on? I know we came up in the 80s and into the 90s. And I know that there was like those weird teachers that would use like weird curriculum and weird different things to teach you whatever the lesson was. I don't remember this day in history class at all.
No, dude, we had a teacher that during the Civil War part of history, like would actually have us like line up like they did to demonstrate how the shooting was so crazy and how like bloody the battles were. And you'd throw paper balls at each other. Ah! But we didn't enslave the black students. You know what I'm saying? This is fucking weird. I'm going to teach you about brotherhood by showing you every word that divides the class.
You were right.
This is like the Tucker Carlson School of History. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh
And
my God.
if I'm black in this school, I'm like, yo, segregate us.
Yeah.
This is bullshit.
This is absolutely.
I did not come to school to get called the N-word all day by my teacher.
Richie, the leader of the Wanderers, and Clinton, who's the leader of the what is it, the Del City Bombers or whatever they are. They're like face to face, and they decide like, oh, we're gonna fight it out in the park or whatever. So, and then Richie tries to get an alliance with the other gangs for help, but to like with no luck. Like it's the Ducky Boys, the Irish guys, and the Wongs then show up, and they say like, no, not for now. Like this is so Italian. Like, listen, here's a history lesson. This is what the Italians do. Okay. They're like, yeah, we're going to fight you. And then they're like, fuck. And then they start going and asking other people for help. And then at the end of the movie, they side with the guys that like they were fighting with. Like we're just notorious flip-floppers. That's what we do. Just whoever's winning, we're like, yeah, we're going to side with you guys.
I mean, I don't know where this is coming from. You only have 2 world wars to back you up with this evidence. Nothing else. Just 2 world wars.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and I have to say that Richie has a little work to do with his salesmanship. Because he's like, yeah, we're going to fight these guys. And the gangs are like, yeah, cool. You started this shit with them. What is in this for us? And they're like, I don't know. What do you guys say? You want to go with us or what? No.
Yeah.
And then like one Asian gang magically disappears into the night sometimes, and they're all kung fu experts, and they're all named, what is it? Wong?
Yeah, they're all they all have the last name Wong.
Yeah.
This is what I didn't get, because I think it's Joey, and I'll just do this voice for Joey for the rest of the show. But Joey's like, yeah, and these are the Wongs, and they're all last name Wong, and they know jujitsu, and they can like karate. I was like, that's not what jujitsu is, guy. Like, that's how you know this was filmed in the 70s, because they were like, jujitsu and kung fu, it's all the same.
They know jujitsu, and they'll kill you with one judo chop. I'm like, were they Austin Powers? Get the fuck out of here.
We get Richie at like the bowling alley talking to the local mafia boss, Chubby Galasso, played by Dolph Sweet, who I love.
Who also happens to be the dad of his girlfriend.
Yes, who is Despy's father.
Which, hey, real quick, Richies of the world, keep your promise. Don't come in that girl.
Yeah, yes. Hey,
it is not worth whatever feeling you lose from a condom is much better than the feeling you're going to lose from your waist down when you're fucking paralyzed.
Yes.
Don't do it.
Yep, absolutely. Don't. I mean, it's just a general rule of thumb. Don't bang the mafia boss's daughter. Like, that's probably a good lesson to live by. So, but Chubby here offers to help, and Richie declines. And Turkey here then helps Terror and the Baldies by tying ropes and rocks to Richie and Joey's dick and throwing the rock off the bridge. This was the only other time I had seen this. The first time I had seen this was in
Old School.
Old School. So I want to know, was the scene in Old School like a shout out to this movie?
It could not be. I mean, it's fucking identical.
It's a very unique scene. I've never seen it before. And when I saw it here, I was like, oh shit, maybe this is where they got it.
Yeah, and I'd seen, at this point, I've been like, oh, I recognize this from this movie that was made after The Wanderers, or I've seen this character that was put into this movie after The Wanderers. And then they do this rock scene, and because I am such a fan of comedy like that, I was like, oh shit, are they paying like an homage to the like? Is this a bigger movie than I understood? And I'm actually the ignorant one here. I know
Yeah.
that's hard to believe, but is it possible I'm the dummy in this situation? And I think I was. I think this movie was a lot bigger than I realized. I could see this movie actually. You know how like they say like your favorite rapper's favorite rapper is blank.
Yeah.
I could see where like your favorite film director,
Yeah.
their favorite movie is this. Could
Well,
totally see that.
and again, like the first, I don't know, up through the high school race riot scene, I was like, whew, this is gonna be a long, drawn out thing.
And then your Italian pride got woken up during the race riots?
But no, from the dick on the rope in the rock scene, literally through the end of this movie, it turned a corner and it was much, much better. Like it was paced a lot better. It was really good from here on out. And again, like you said, I was like, oh, this, and honestly, for, when did this come out? 79. For that time, I mean, this movie was probably huge.
Is it possible this story is true? Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think they were finding themselves kind of walking through mud a little bit, trying to get this movie started. Like, it seems like the beginning of this movie was actually the first scenes of this movie they shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because it's so different after the rock toss scene. And this is the other thing. I saw that it was directed by one person in the credits, but Karen Allen has a director credit on IMDb in this. So did she direct a portion of this movie? Or is it just a fuck up in IMDb? Where they're like listing her actual, she's an actor, producer, director.
I only saw Philip Kaufman as the director for this one. I didn't see the Karen Allen piece of it. Yeah, I don't know. But again, from here on out, it's really great. And what I loved was after this scene, Richie goes back to the bowling alley and he talks to the mob boss again. He talks to Chubbs or Chubby or whatever his name is. And this is where they kick the shit out of like the hustlers that are in there. And then he tells Richie, Richie's like, yeah, we need your help. So he's like, cool story. We invited like the whole black gang into the bowling alley. And this is what we're going to do. He's all about everything's got to be a sportsman. You got to people that talk like that scare me. But he's like, well, you got to be a sportsman. And what we're going to do is there's going to be no fighting. We're going to play a football game. And basically, we're just going to gamble on the fucking football game. Like, that's the most Italian thing to ever, settle a fucking fight.
And this is how you know this guy is into some real shit. Because he's like, yeah, we could have a big gang rumble, black versus white. That's going to make a lot of noise in the neighborhood. So instead, we're just going to play a friendly game of football. And we mean it. You're going to keep it friendly. Because any fight that breaks out is immediately broken up at that football game by this dawn. It's like, dude, whatever you're into, bowling alley, Hawaiian shirt guy, I don't want any part of it. That is 100% your business. You are the real deal.
Yes, I do respect how they softened up the mob in this movie. I got a lot of respect for that. Like, first of all, none of the mob bosses are wearing Tommy Bahama shirts, okay? That's just not happening. We're all wearing silk suits, okay? But
they were until he started wearing the Tommy Bahama shirt, and then they're like, what are you going to do? Tell him to change? I ain't telling that guy shit.
But then we get the elbow tit scene here. Perry shows up in this scene and he's already got the Wanderer's jacket. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess he's part of the gang. Cool. And this is where Richie meets Nina. He sets her up with Joey, but he obviously wants to bang her too. And they follow her after this scene. They're trying to I don't know, stalker or whatever. And then they end up in the wrong neighborhood where the Ducky Boys are. And it was like broad daylight. And now it's like midnight. There's like fucking dew in the air. There's steam coming out of the fucking grates. And they get the fuck beat out of them by the Ducky Boys. And Perry gets his arm broken. And when Perry and Joey get home, Joey sees his dad leaving Perry's apartment because, like, Joey's dad is banging Perry's mom, and Perry forgets about it because he gets the call from Nina, who, like, invites herself, like, hey, I heard you're throwing a party over at the mob boss's house. Can I come? I'll pick you up.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm very confused by this entire set. One, every gang is like got a respectable number, right? It's like the black gang has about 10 guys. The Wonder has got about 6 or 7. The Terror is the big gang. They got, 20 guys usually hanging out on the street corner. And the Wong's got about 6 guys. All of this is very normal and what you would expect maybe from like high school toughs back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this movie becomes The Warriors.
It does.
And all of Manhattan's white, entitled, fucking privileged kids are led by fucking Eric Trump. And if you wander down too close to fucking Wall Street, they're just going to wholesale fuck you up. What is happening?
Dude.
This came out of nowhere.
So the
and
Ducky
preceding
Boys...
this...
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, preceding this, like, I understand where they're going with, right? They're driving around in the car and they're following the girl and they get lost because they start the doo-wopping. Perry starts do 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 do. Hey, look at Bobby Valentine over here. Oh! Everybody can naturally sing beautifully after making fun of Perry. Like, hey, you know what we do? We make fun of all them queer kids by singing just like them.
With
fucking
perfect harmonies, by the way.
And so then they get lost.
Yes.
And at first I was like, Jesus, you got lost because you were so into the doo-wopping. That's what threw you awry and got you into Ducket territory or Ducky territory.
Yes.
But then I'm like, yeah, I guess that kind of happened because when I was a teenager and we'd fucking hit the streets in my Dodge Shadow convertible, baby, and we had the radio playing, we got lost every now and again, and we got turned into some neighborhoods that we should not have been in.
If you're doo-wopping, especially if you're singing these gorgeous, beautiful harmonies, like, you gotta know, am I singing the third? Am I singing the fifth? Like, where am I in this harmony? Like, what's my voice compared to his? He's more of a fucking alto. Like, there's a lot that goes into the harmony thing. Yeah, you're making a left, a right. Oh no, Ducky Boys or whatever the fuck. Like, now we're like into the Irish gang. And, we know about the Irish gang. All they do is drink and fight. So we're going to get fucked up. Like, that's what happens here.
Except for Perry, who's like, fuck that. Fuck this shit. A bunch of guys with bats and knives. Watch me run out of the car and fight them all because I'm fucking stupid.
There's always that one. Who
the fuck does that? Yeah, yes. It's usually the guy that looks like me who has to, like, I got to prove myself. I'm going to be the craziest motherfucker in the group. When you're the big guy, you don't have to do this shit. That's crazy.
Yep. Well, and then we go to the party scene where they party at Despy's house and they play strip poker at the party. Despy notices Richie's interested in Nina. Notices Richie, that when I say that, I mean, like, Richie's like, like, she's taking her shirt off and she's just in a bra, and Richie goes back to like, I'm not gonna come. I totally came. Like, that's where he goes with it.
Richie's like just standing there and actually says out loud, I'm totally gonna come in you. Like, doesn't even care.
And Nina's like, yeah, that's cool. So Despy
He actually
gets
does the
pissed.
same thing to Nina. He goes, "Hey, Nina, knock, knock." And Nina goes, clam chowder, fucker. I'm already ready for it. I don't care. Nina's a straight up motherfucking dick pig, dog.
Dude, she's a
She wants that
gangster.
shit. Shout out
She's a
Little Pound
gangster.
Cake.
She's a gangster. She was like, I've heard that joke before. It's fine. Despy gets pissed here. She fucking takes off. Richie has Joey go after Despy so he could like bang Nina. They go out to the car. They bang. They get caught by Joey and Despy. Joey like knocks Richie out or whatever. But they get caught because like during this whole party scene, the Baldies get drunk and then they get tricked by a recruitment officer to join the Marines.
Awesome.
It's so great. And then they go to the party to like get chicks or whatever. And then like Turkey goes in, gets his fucking ass kicked. They throw him out of the thing. And the Baldies leave and just leave this dude stranded.
Yeah, singing the Marine Corps theme song.
Yeah. Yes.
They've made up their minds. Fuck it. They're joining the Marines. I love that storyline so much because I kept wondering where that was going to come into play.
Yeah.
And the fact that he just wrangles them all in when they're drunk. And then the little girl in the gang's like, dude, do you fucking morons know what you just did? They come back in. They're like, hey, we were just fooling about. And the Marine recruiter's like, and? Don't give a shit. By the way, this is called a Colt 1911. I will fucking shoot you in your face if you take one more step towards me. It's amazing.
Yes, just a little piece of advice. If you do get tricked in by a Marine recruiter to join the Marines, don't try to like attack him because dude is strapped. Just saying. After getting left behind, Turkey then runs through the streets. He gets lost, runs into the Ducky Boys, and they chase him like through the streets. And after climbing onto like a subway platform ladder thing, he loses his balance, falls to his death. I got a question about like the Ducky Boys, and you mentioned this a little bit ago. Again, all of these, there might be a max of like 10, 15 people maximum in each of these gangs. Do the Ducky Boys own like all, like you get the Bronx, hey, Wong's and the Black Gang and the Italian gang, like you three split up the fucking this little borough. We literally own everything fucking around you because anywhere they turn, there's like, and they're always carrying fucking bats and axes and shit. And they're just ready to fuck you up at a moment's notice. These sons of bitches, because, they're good, Irish Catholic boys. They're all in church and they're like, hey, but I don't know why they're Italian, but like, body of Christ. And he's like, yeah, cool. Let me go beat the shit out of this Italian guy who's now like got a shaved head and is a baldy.
Hell yes.
This is all just so weird. And like, he comes out and they don't talk.
No,
ever.
They never. Yeah.
This is such a weird, like, warriors and a creepy thing to have in this just regular 1960s movie. It's all set. We talk about being set in a certain reality in all these movies. This is set in a very real reality. A little doo-woppy, maybe, but it's very realistic, I guess, to what those times would have been like for a high school student. And then you just have these scenes, which I don't understand. They're not necessary. Like, that kid could have died. He was going to die a million ways, regardless of how you set him up. He was going to get drunk one night, do something fucking stupid and die. Everybody knows that was what was going to happen. So to have them be this influence and then later come back in with the football game, and it shows how all the gangs can unite. They could have united through the fucking football game because nothing happened. It was just a good game.
Yep. Absolutely.
Apparently when Vinny Papaglia showed up. Which, talk about being set in a fucking reality.
Yeah.
A football game versus Italians v blacks. And you're going to tell me that the fucking black guys keep it close? No way. The Italians run roughshod over them. Everybody knows it.
Listen, we'll get to that here in a second. If they played like fucking footy, like if they played soccer, cool. Yeah, the Italians have fucking run away with that game. But everybody's 5'8" or 5'6" on the field. The Italians are. There's been 4 good Italians in football history. Okay, the Italians. They're like, hey, pasta swing left. They have no fucking clue what's going on. They're playing. Okay, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait on it. I'm gonna wait on it because we get the Richie and Despy like hooking back up and I don't know, doing the whole we're gonna make up because President Kennedy got shot. And then we have Despy telling Richie that she's pregnant as he's trying to bang her in like the catacombs, or I don't even know where the fuck they are. They're in like a cave with like a bunch of like religious relics.
And this is what serves you right for trying to fuck inside of like some sort of religious sect. Is like she's instantly pregnant. She wasn't pregnant because he promised he wasn't going to come in her. I believe him. He would never do something like that. So, with that being said, he's a trustworthy
guy.
Yeah. Plus, we know he had to run out early because he had to go save Joey and them from getting the shit kicked out of him.
Exactly.
So I don't even think he did nut that day. He ran out with a boner to go fight. So with that being said, you're trying to hook up in these fucking catacombs and all the lit candles and religious shit. And then all of a sudden she's like, uh-oh, I'm pregnant.
Your baby
saying,
Jesus.
Jesus is in that bitch.
100%. I knew Jesus was Italian. So, so Chubby here then finds out. He tells Richie that he needs to marry his daughter, move into their house, and it's the sportsman's way. Again, my favorite line, like, are you a sportsman? I respect sportsmen. This is the sportsman's way. What? You come in somebody's daughter and then like you move in and get married? Like, okay, cool. I guess I'm a sportsman.
You're a sportsman or you're a deadman. One of the two.
You were correct.
But then we get, like, after this whole thing, this is the day of the football game, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody's still pissed at Richie. So Richie kind of just like sulks on the sidelines. He's not dressed. And this is what I wanted to touch on. Okay. I get it. Italians 5'8". There's been 3 or 4 maybe decent Italians in the history of football. The Dell Bombers show up, right? Fucking purple people eater uniforms. Like, I don't know who the gang leader, who the older gang leader guy is that strikes the deal with Chubby about the football game, but he sunk some money into this gang. Like, hey, I know you're a gang, but I need to buy all the Rydell football equipment that I can get my hands on, and we're going to deck you out. We're going to look like a professional football team. And then the dumb greasy Dagos come running out on the field. They got jeans rolled up to the knees. I don't even think they had pads. I think they just shoved like a bunch of newspaper into their shoulders. And they got the helmets with just a single bar that goes a fucking across. They're like, all right, are we going to fucking play this game or what? Because Joey's got to play quarterback because Richie's not there.
Plus, don't forget, they made a banner.
Yeah, Joey painted the banner. It was very nice. And
his dope banner.
His dad was like, what are you, a little bouncy? You gonna make a fucking football banner? Dude, Joey's dad in this movie is such a piece of shit.
Yeah, world-class piece of shit. And he's got a cigarette for a mother.
Yeah. Especially here, because he's like, at first he's like, I'm not gonna go watch Joey because I don't want to get embarrassed. At what? A fucking pickup football game? Cool story, guy.
And it turns out I never knew my dad was Italian because that's what he used to say all the time.
But they get to the football game. They're getting their doors blown off by the Dell Bombers. Richie finally suits up and he's like, all right, we're going to put Joey at fucking tailback and we're going to come back and win the game. And they make it close. But the game never ends.
They put Joey at tailback with his 6'4", 40 speed. And they're like, we're gonna get this one, guys.
This is such a crock of shit.
We don't get the game. The game never ends. So there is no final score. I made up the final score in my head, and it was like 62-35. They showed the last 35 points and made it seem close, but it really wasn't at the end of the day.
No,
But
the
then
LSU Tigers beat the shit out of them.
Yes, absolutely. But we then get the Ducky Boys gang, whatever, they show up and literally surround the field. There are 7,000 of these fucking guys that show up. And then they just start jumping in, and it's just a full-scale brawl. Like, this is like the Outsiders kind of shit, except without the rain. It's just like a dust bowl because the football field that they're playing on is literally just dirt.
And this is like where Joey's dad goes full sail Charles Bronson in Death Wish and just starts fucking crush. He picks a dude up and is swinging him back and forth like a club.
Listen, tell me you have roid rage without telling me you have roid rage. You're literally picking up another human being. By the way, that guy wasn't like a little person. He was literally a grown ass man who he took by his ankles and is just swinging him around and wholesale kicking the fuck out of everybody else with another guy. And not only that, here's the roid rage of the century. He sees like the Ducky Boys or whatever descending onto he runs to the sideline, like steps on the bench and just rips a fucking goddamn 4x4 off the bench and is just like Hacksaw Jim Duggan just shows up with the shit on his shoulder. Like, dude, what the fuck?
It's no wonder Joey runs like Fred Flintstone because his dad's a fucking Neanderthal.
Yes. Listen,
it's
I'm telling
fucking
you right
crazy.
Now, wine doesn't do that. Steroids does that.
Yeah. And I mean, like, this is the 60s. So I think for steroids, he's just sucking off horses.
Hell yes.
The horse went to fucking Emilio and he was like, knock, knock, who's there? Clam chowder. And that, folks, is what we call a callback. But after this, the football game, like, the fight's over. The 800 Irish kids run away. And, you know, up now the Del Bombers and the Italians, they're like all friends. And they're like, yeah, we won. And Joey's like, we won, Dad, we won. And his dad just punches him in the stomach for no fucking reason because he's literally roid raging the fuck out.
Doesn't even recognize. I was like, oh, this is how they'll come together. Like Joey took this hard hit and his dad's going to feel something. No, his dad goes Genghis Khan and goes, oh! What the fuck?
Doesn't even look at him. Like, he's just like, yeah, boom. And then he goes, like, I just fucked up my son and I am so proud of myself.
This is straight Conan the Barbarian shit. And then he does one of the most amazing things ever after the fight. And Joey's not going to go home. And Joey and Perry are together and across the hall. And his dad comes in and is like, what's the matter with you, huh? You broke 3 of my ribs. And we're on the same side.
You broke 3 of my ribs. And now you're sneaking into my friend's house to bang his mom. That's what's wrong with me. What
His
the fuck
crazy
is wrong
mother,
with you?
apparently.
Yes.
His mom's full Sybil and
yes.
just wants dick constantly. And he's like, 18 inches here, 6 inches there. Italian.
So Joey's staying with Perry that night. Joey's dad comes by to bang his mom. Perry and Joey's dad start to fight. And Joey hits his dad over the head with a bottle. And they fucking bounce. And later, the Wanderers, the Del Bombers, and the Wongs all surprise Richie at work for like his bachelor party. And also Chubby's there. And so Chubby's like, now, he doesn't ask Richie to join the family. He tells Richie, like, hey, you're going to be working for me now. You don't got to be a fucking dishwasher no more. Here's a fucking Tommy Bahama shirt. lose that stupid Silk Wanderers jacket and put this really dope Tommy Bahama shirt on. You're now part of the fucking gang.
Once you're married to my daughter, you'll never wash another dish in your life.
This is where I'm like, okay, I'm taking you a little less seriously now. Like my gang uniform with a real grown-up bowling alley mob boss is a fucking Tommy Bahama shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about this, Chief? I'll show up with whatever the fuck I'm gonna wear.
Are you gonna get mad if I show up in a suit?
Yeah.
Fucking jerk off. Get out of here.
Get out of here. God forbid I look like an adult not on vacation, asshole.
Richie here sees Nina outside of the restaurant, so he follows her to a nightclub where Bob Dylan apparently is performing.
Yeah, apparently Richie's become Forrest Gump.
Yes, but he's like looking through the window, and she goes in and sits down, and Bob Dylan's performing, and he's just like, oh, like, I really like it, but apparently this isn't a thing anymore. So he heads back to the restaurant for his like bachelor party. And as he makes his way back, he sees Joey and Perry. They stop him and tell him that they're leaving town for Los Angeles, and they're just stopping by to say goodbye. And throughout this movie, I'm like, oh, is this from this, or is this where they got this? I'm like, is this where like Matt Damon took the piece from fucking Good Will Hunting at the end? I'm like, is that an homage to this scene too? Because it was so similar. I mean, obviously they're different scenes, but the sentiment is similar. Like, hey, we're taking off, like blah blah blah, we're getting out of here. But the movie just ends as Joey and Perry drive away, and everyone sings the Wanderer at Richie's party. I'll be honest, dude. I didn't think I was gonna like this. I watched the trailer on the phone when you and I were on the phone together, and I was like, yo, this looks terrible. I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, like we said, the first 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes of this takes a really long time getting on its feet.
It's a slow burn. Yeah.
That said, though, once they actually get going with what the fuck the story's gonna be, and kind of like it gets going and it gets so much better. And I think the problem it has is it takes so long trying to introduce all these gangs, and it seems so corny because you got the doo-wop playing behind it, and hey, what are you talking about, Cheese? You're a prick with ears. It's just like, fuck, this is not gonna be good. Like, this is going to be a really bad version of The Outsiders.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It was, but it wasn't. It was very different. I think they made so many mistakes with the Duckies being so scary and turning it into basically the Warriors, which, I mean, I don't know which came first. I forget. I don't care. But having that air of it just changed the whole sentiment of the movie. Was so stupid. You could have still had a big gang rumble and unify all the gangs without having it be this absurd and this like terrifying. Of like, these guys are supernatural almost. They don't talk, they just fucking kill everybody.
Yeah.
And there's thousands of them apparent. That is literally my only complaint. The rest of this movie, I honestly could relate to it, and I think a lot of people, their high school experience, if it was anywhere near similar to mine, outside of the race riot, was very similar to everything that happened here. You know, like we played strip poker with the girls on like class trips, and we fucking, you know, we're sneaking around trying to get in fights and bars and parties and all this shit and promising not to come in people. I mean, fuck. I think that was my yearbook quote. I won't come in you.
Yeah, everybody thought the knock knock who's there clam chowder thing was just a joke. That was literally I think that's what you wrote in your yearbook.
Oh yeah, that joke's like 40 years old now and is not a joke. Overall though, yeah, I really did like this movie. I thought it was really good. Especially for that era, because like you said, the music of that time, and you have to do it. You have to set that music for the time, like you do
Yeah.
any movie.
Yeah.
It's just so bad and corny to me at this point where I'm just like, it immediately takes on a Disney air. Hearing that kind of music. So having them actually be adults in this and say things like, I won't come in you, and playing strip poker and, being nasty about it and cheating and all that. I'm totally on board because that makes more sense than the doo-woppy kind of bullshit we all pretend didn't exist.
Yeah.
That being said, I never had to play elbow tit or whatever the fuck
that
stupid ass game they're playing.
That was the one scene I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, these guys are all like 18-ish, 19, some of them. Like, listen, if you're gonna play the elbow tit game, that's a 12, 13-year-old game at best. If you're 19 still playing elbow tit, like, what are we doing here? Get the fuck out of here. Like, you're an asshole.
Dude, I grew
just
up
an asshole.
I grew up Gen X. If I saw a nice pair of tits, I was like, God damn, can I touch one of them motherfuckers? Like 10 seconds?
Always ask permission, guys. Always ask permission.
And if it was a no, you walk, hey, no problem. Beautiful set of tits. I'll see you tomorrow. That's it. That's it. That's the Gen X way.
Yep, that is the Gen X way. So I think we'll end it there. Do you have anything else for this?
Nah.
All right. For Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1979's The Wanderers.
Hey, Armando. Knock, knock.
Who's there?